Welcome one and all to the Cine Geeks podcast, where movies, TV, and all things geek collide. This is Roy, still joined by my lovely co-host Angela.
Hello!
Hey Angela, and yes, Cinemalaya Week still rages on.
Day 4.
This is day 4 or part 4 of our 5-part special series talking about the 10 films in contention for the main competition feature length in this year's Cinemalaya Film Festival, aka
Cinemalaya 20.
aka
Cinemalaya XX.
Cinemalaya.
Cinemalaya.
Cinemalaya XX.
Cinemalaya.
Yes. So far, we've talked about 6 films. And for this episode, still 2 more films on deck. We will be talking about the following. First will be Cantil by Joshua Cesar Medroso. And The Hearing by Lawrence Fajardo, written by Honey Alipio. Yes. So, yeah. Ikaw, ano muna, temp check lang. Kumusta ang Cinemalaya for you so far?
There are ups and downs.
Yes.
I really enjoyed the films. Yun yung best part. Yun yung icing
Oo.
on the cake.
Ibang klase yung ano. Sinabi ko nga sa ano natin, yung ating mga friends. We're talking about the film festival so far. And sabi ko na nakakataba ng puso. Na every film so far that we've seen, including these 2, have quote-unquote come to play. As in talagang they brought their game face. Talagang every film definitely has merit.
Oo.
Oo. Kahit maliit yan or malaki or talagang sobrang epic, spectacular yung film or whatever, meron lahat. Itong 6 na napag-usapan natin so far.
Mukhang creme de la creme talaga.
Oo. Super. So, huwag na natin patagalin pa. Yeah. Let's get to the first film for this episode, which is again, Cantil, written and directed by Joshua Cesar Medroso. So, once again, we will be reading the logline from the official Cinemalaya website. So, for Cantil, it is as follows. The discovery of a mysterious alien shell in a trench transforms the lives of 2 star-crossed lovers, Paleng and Elyong, and their threatened coastal village in Davao City, unearthing secrets deeper than the surrounding perilous waters. Yawn. So, just siguro real quick, we just have to also mention na the director or the filmmaker, si Joshua, is this is his first feature-length film.
Yes.
Yan. From what we understand, dun sa kanyang mini bio on the Cinemalaya website, he has been making short films for quite some time naman.
And I think this movie is based on one of his short films.
Short films then. Yes. So, yan. Let's get to it. Ange, what did you think of Cantil?
Ako coming in, I was really intrigued by the logline na queer sci-fi. So we haven't seen something like that.
From Filipino films.
I mean, it doesn't come around often.
Well, true.
So, ayun. Very, especially dun sa poster. Napaka,
Otherworldly.
almost alien Romulus.
No,
diba? Yung,
niya.
yung kanyang vibe na ginigive off. And I love na it is tied into the folklore of his hometown. I believe na talagang humugot si Joshua dun sa heritage niya. So, bilang ito yung kanyang first feature film, talagang binuhos niya yung sarili niya dito. Yung puso niya and yung pagkatao niya.
Yes.
Parang naka-fingerprint all over this film yung identity niya.
That's true.
Kaya na-appreciate ko na feature niya din yung Purok 12.
Purok 12, yes.
I think yun yung hometown niya talaga eh. And talagang meron talagang basis yung mga legends na subject topic nung film. Hindi ako familiar dun sa ano na yun eh. Sa legend na yung local legend nila. Pero it's nice to learn about it. And
especially given sa Philippine setting. Kasi usually tayo kapag folklore natin is yun na nga, puro mga anito.
Mga nature.
Nature-based.
Mountains.
Yes, pagan, tama.
And to learn na part ng folklore nila yung something extraterrestrial is quite impressive. I don't know if yun talaga yung yun pa lang yung implication na nakuha ko.
Or it's also quite possible na he drew from, again, the basis of local folklore to craft, sabihin natin, a tale with a somewhat sci-fi tinge. Kumbaga.
Yeah.
Pwede. Ako naman, ang pinaka na-appreciate ko dito is there is an attempt to evoke the filmmaking styles of Terrence Malick. Yun.
Yes.
Yung Malick-isms na sobrang, ayoko sabihin mabagal, pero yung may languid pace siya. Yun, meron siyang deliberate movement. Hindi siya nagpapadala doon sa yung parang sasabihin natin na usual na dapat takbo ng kwento. In the sense na parang yung may story beats bang sinusundan. Hindi it's following the, I'm gonna say, vibes that it's currently presenting on screen. And it marinades the story there. It keeps the audience in that parang headspace of that yung specific vibe of whatever we're seeing on screen. And even yung kanyang decision as to when to end that, yung parang that feeling. Sobrang siya, yun nga, again, going back to the term, it's very deliberate. Yan, hindi siya parang nagpapadala dun sa usual na mga filmmaking styles na dapat ganito, pak. Dapat ganun, hindi.
Yung conventional.
Yung conventional ba? Yun. And again, since we're talking about Terrence Malick, isa sa mga trademarks niya was yung, or is, boy pa naman siya, yung cinematography niya. And dito sa Kantil, the lensing is, well, for the most part, and I'm gonna get to why most part siya later on, pero for the most part, the lensing by Arnel Barbarona is very, very sublime. Lalo na yung mga external shots, yung mga vistas, napaka sarap tignan. Continuing a theme dito sa Cinemalayan to na every cinematographer
is spa for the eyes.
Came to play talaga. Oo. Isa pang na gustuhan ko about this film is yung kanyang score. Okay? Nung pinapanood natin siya kanina, tinapi kita. Sinabihan kita na parang nakakaramdam ako ng parang Vangelis na Blade Runner.
Blade Runner 1?
1. Yung synth.
Parang yung electronic keyboard.
Yes. Yung electro synth na, for the lack of a better term, yung parang kinukulot niya yung notes nung synth niya. Tapos puro
parang distorted.
Parang yung ganon. Na adds to the sci-fi feel mixed with this otherworldliness of the tale.
Yeah.
Yun, napaka-transportative niya. I know it's
true.
Diba? I know it's a very parang common term that we throw around. Pero wala, we have to give props to our filmmakers nowadays na the kids are all right. they can create works of art that definitely transport the beholder, kumbaga. Hindi lang siya yung tipong parang titignan mo, papanoorin mo lang, pero siya yung parang ang gagawin niya sa'yo, the film is going to ask you to stay with it a while and really listen to what it wants to say. Yan.
Pero, as to what it wants to say.
Sige, yun. Segue natin, ikaw, what did you think about the story itself as presented to us, etong Kantil?
Well, from the logline itself, I surmised na it's about star-crossed lovers, 'di ba? Pero kasi parang ang dami niya pang inintroduce na ibang character storyline na we are supposed to follow. Marami siyang mga side stories na inintroduce, pero hindi ko masyadong nakuha yung satisfaction ng parang kung nagkaroon ba ng closure yung mga storylines na yon or naging ba siya? Naging complete yung narrative ng mga characters na inintroduce or ng mga storylines na inintroduce.
Yes.
So, I don't wanna, give spoilers or anything. Pero, yun nga, may mga characters na inintroduce na meron silang kanya-kanya nilang struggles, kanya-kanya nilang parang conflicts in relation din dun sa main characters. Pero, ayun nga, parang naisantabi lang siya. Parang naging afterthought siya in the end.
Oo. And siguro for better or worse, babalikan na naman natin yung inspiration, I guess, ni Terrence Malick dito sa work na to. Kasi isa din yun sa mga signature niya maliban nun sa yung ang ganda, ang sarap sa mata, ang parang you're basically watching a screensaver of a movie pag Terrence Malick ang pinapanood mo. Meron ding pagiging sobrang almost bulletproof nung narrative niya. Hindi mo siya ma-penetrate na talagang alam mo yung parang these seemingly disparate storylines, according to the writer, they seem to come together in some way, di ba? Pero, yun na nga it's not a style that works for all audiences.
Yeah, because it did not work for me and I would have to disagree with you about the bulletproof.
What I meant by bulletproof is yung ang hirap niyang i-penetrate. Yun, parang
so dense siya.
I guess. Sige, I think we'll go with that.
Kasi
sige.
kung kapag bulletproof, ibig sabihin strong and
sige,
talagang
sige.
complete.
Sige.
And whole.
Tama. Okay. Correct myself. Sige. Dense would be the better term. Okay lang. Sige.
Kasi I wouldn't describe it as bulletproof kasi nga ang dami niyang butas, ang dami niyang plot holes.
Yes. Yan. Thank you for correcting me. Yan, sige. Dense, I guess, would be the right term. Yan. Kasi ang dami niyang gustong sabihin. One would be yung relationship ng star-crossed lovers. And then there's a plot line about the people of Purok 12. Tapos, merong plot line involving people in government. And then there's the plot line of the item that comes from the titular cantil, the trench.
Yeah.
Yon. Na if all of these came together in some fashion towards the end, siguro parang okay, sige fine. We'll say na, alright, it medyo, sige, convoluted, but at least it got there. Unfortunately, isa lang yung pinili niyang i-resolve eh.
And then
all
the other storylines
are dropped.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. Kasi everything else about this film works so strongly.
Also, yung mga characters are very easy to root for.
Exactly.
Parang they are well-rounded characters.
Oo.
Kasi every character he introduced in the story, I cared for them. I cared about what will happen to them. And then,
exactly.
Kaya nga ganito yung pakiramdam ko na parang ano nangyari sa kanila? I like that character, pero parang walang napuntahan yung story niya. Alam mo yung one good example of something na parang tinry, I mean, very, very similar to this story is The Lady in the Water.
Okay.
So parang merong isang tao na affected by the phenomenon and every character parang nag-gravitate towards that character and the mystery surrounding that one character. Lahat sila, may kanya-kanya silang storya and then they come together.
Oo.
Kaso, yung sa Lady in the Water, na-resolve siya and they came together talaga. And nagkaroon ng kahit papano, a semblance of character development and conclusion in the end nung storylines nila. Pero ito kasi, parang, yes, there was a mystery person with this parang a phenomenon surrounding that person. And then, na-resolve yung kwento niya, pero yung mga tao na nag-gather around this character, wala na-drop na sila.
Kaya nga I mean, I wouldn't say na parang it's disappointing kasi there are still things to love about this film. Pero we would have loved a stronger narrative. Even if yung way of going about it is yung ang very placid and deliberate pace. Meron namang mga ganun Ang daming mga ganun na scene na still make sense yung kwento kahit sobrang, for the lack of a better term, bagal nung pace. Yun lang. Siguro, just to wrap this up real quick, I'll just say na it's a good step in the right direction for Joshua Medroso. I would love to see where he goes from here kasi the foundation is there. There are building blocks that he can work from.
We're gonna follow his career with great interest.
Talaga. Ikaw ba? Anything else you want to say in closing before we give our rating for Cantil?
I mean, it is very parang ballsy to choose sci-fi to be your debut sa feature-length film. And I commend you for that. And yon, keep doing what you're doing kasi we want to see more sci-fi and fantasy movies akin to M. Night Shyamalan and yun nga, sometimes esoteric Terrence Malick pero not all. Pero we are big fans of sci-fi and we appreciate you parang going outside the box.
Oo.
Kasi very common theme na sa film festivals ang drama, dark comedy, and yung mga social commentary. Pero sci-fi is sobrang ano yan very few dip their toes in that water.
Yan. Kaya for Cantil, we're gonna be giving it a grade of B.
Yes.
Again, we want to see more from Joshua Medroso, especially these kinds of works na talagang challenges the audience to really talagang pay attention. And I'm pretty sure na very, very soon, his is going to be a name we will be parang talking about for a long time, especially since there's potential there talaga for greatness.
Especially sa queer genre.
Yes.
Very, very bihira yung ganyan. It's very unique.
True. Very true. Yeah. So again, the rating of B for Cantil. And without any further ado, let's go ahead to the next film, the final film for this episode, which is The Hearing, written by director Lawrence Fajardo with Honey Alipio. Yeah, so the logline of the film, via the website of Cinemalaya is as follows. Embroiled in a legal battle against a powerful figure, a deaf boy, with the support of his parents, cross paths with a court sign language interpreter who can speak but is voiceless in her own home. So yun. Medyo,
Ikaw, I saw you parang sobrang emotionally shocked.
Yes.
During and after the screening.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think? Are you ready?
Oo naman.
Are you ready to talk about it?
Let's get to it.
Okay. So, Roy, what did you think of the hearing?
Well, for one, and I mean this in the best way possible, I don't want to see this film again. I'm sorry na I have to start with that. Pero it's one of those films that really talagang scars you for life. In the sense na when you watch a movie that really grips you with its message and the way it presents its message.
Grabe.
It's one of the most powerful films na I've ever seen. And
Ever.
And I'm so happy na this was a film na pinalabas sa sinihan. Kasi usually kapag Cinemalaya, pinapalabas yan dun sa yung PICC na mga plenary hall, yung mga ganun, parang mga conference room. So, the setting itself lends to parang somewhat a diminished experience. Dahil iba yung sound system, tapos malayo yung projector, yung mga ganung bagay.
And let me just say also, sobrang importante ng sound dito sa movie na to.
Super.
Please continue.
Yan. No problem. You were saying about yung sound and everything else, every technical aspect about this film works beautifully. Talaga. Yung what Ange was saying earlier about the sound or the lack thereof of sound in the film adds to the palpable intensity.
Grabe.
Sobrang nararamdaman mong may mali kahit wala pang pinapakitang anything. And then eventually when that thing happens, yung nararamdaman mo, yung the thing that's palpable then becomes the pain of the protagonist. And then as we are led through a process that is supposed to help ease the pain, the thing that then becomes palpable is the foreboding sense of hopelessness. Kaya alam mo yung parang yung tama kasi sinasabi mo kanina na sobrang dalang-dala ako dun sa emotional roller coaster ride nitong scene na to. Kasi you know that this happens every day.
This has happened in such a long time.
Oo, it
continues
to happen. And we always talk about na parang yung mga horror film, ganyan, takot-takutan. Ako siguro personally, I would actually call this a horror film because it's not the horror na supernatural. It's not the horror na yung demonyo or what. Pero it's about the horror of the banality of evil. How sometimes evil people are defended by people that we think are good. Yeah. Yun yung sobrang nakakadala na parang intense emotions while watching this.
Yeah, true.
Ikaw ba? Sorry. Magana ba ako dito, tuloy-tuloy pa ako ikaw. What did you think of the hearing? So, one of the choices that they made dito sa film was to present the cinematography in a way na we are looking at almost every character's point of view. Yun yung position ng camera. Looking at other people while talking, while engaging in activities, whatever. Do you think that choice to go about the POV cinematography in this film added to the intensity of the film itself?
I think yung vantage point style niya parang gives you a feeling na you are witnessing it as well. Parang may pagka-voyeuristic element siya in a way. Kasi parang, ayun nga, yung ating victim is deaf-mute. Nobody witnessed the crime that was committed. Pero actually, parang yung mga perspective na parang kang nandun. Like you are also witnessing what is happening during or before the hearing, during the hearing, after the hearing. Parang ang pakiramdam is napaka-uncomfortable. Like you are eavesdropping on them and you are parang invading their lives. Parang ganun. Kasi in a way, parang ganun naman kapag ka you are being investigated or you are being tried in a trial, diba? It reminds me of this movie, last Oscars, yung Anatomy of a Fall, na parang a very traumatic experience is being dissected inside out, upside down, and hinihimay siya in such a scientific clinical way, but yung mga taong involved dun sa mismong case has to relive it over and over and over, yung trauma na yon. And just imagine the pain they have to go through. And makikita mo yung mga tao na parang they're just going through the rounds, di ba? Parang normal lang sa kanila yon. It's just routine for them. And it's normal. So parang ganon. Reduced yung trauma mo in parang details on paper, evidences, exhibit A, B, C, ganon. Ganon ka cold and ruthless yung investigation ng mga ganitong klaseng mga traumatizing crimes.
Oo, alam mo, shucks, ang ganda nung sinabi mo na para siyang Anatomy of a Fall. Kasi, I mean, we have to give props to everybody here, especially the acting. The acting is ibang klase, talaga, sobra. Top down. Yung grabe yung intensity on display ng pag-arte. Pero yung sinabi mo sa Anatomy of a Fall, meron akong isang props na ibibigay talaga, special props to the actor who portrayed yung defense lawyer during the titular hearing.
Diba? Na parang they're just doing their job. They're very napaka-impersonal, napaka-impartial and unforgiving nung treatment nila dun sa otherwise life-changing traumatic experience dun sa mga taong involved dun sa case.
Oo. Sorry. Walang nakalagay sa IMDb kung sinong actor siya. Pero the defense attorney in question reminded me of the prosecutor naman doon sa Anatomy of a Fall. Yung kung gaano ka methodical and almost feels like non-human nung kanyang atake doon sa kasong hinahandle niya, just because they are trying to parang go about the case in a very by the letter of the law way. Na talagang alam mo yung isi-strip down mo yung humanity ng mga nasa paligid mo dahil gusto mo lang makatechnical ng, ito yung nakalagay sa law ganun Na-portray niya yun.
Semantics.
Yun, true. Na-portray yun beautifully. The writing of that character, again, sobrang ibang klase. Walang masabi. Pero just going back real quick to the actors, the kid, yung si Lucas.
Si Enzo Osorio.
Enzo Osorio as Lucas is a revelation. He doesn't say literally anything, pero his eyes broadcast a world of devastation. Grabe yung, God, yan na, naalala ko na naman. Ikaw ba, any one of the cast ba that stood out for you? Maliban nun kay Enzo and yung defense attorney.
Siyempre, napaka-affecting nung acting ni Mylene Dizon.
Yes, of course.
I mean, she's my best actress. Hands down. Sobrang, alam mo yung pain of being shamed dahil sa, parang, yes, she has a deaf-mute child, pero yung way ng pag-communicate niya sa anak niya is still being, parang, is being scrutinized and dissected na, pati ba naman sa sign language, parang you found a way to communicate with your deaf-mute child. Kahit hindi ka highly educated.
Kahit hindi ka accredited na sign language.
Pero just because of this very methodical way of going about the case and trying to defend the perpetrator, parang pati yung part ng pagkatao niya na yon, sinishame pa siya. Yun yung pinaka-affecting sa akin na moment I don't want to say more kasi baka ma-spoil ko na.
Yeah, no, we're still not gonna spoil anything here. This is a film that is best experienced fresh.
Also yung acting nung kapitan.
Yes.
Tsaka, alam mo yung mga typical na mga backward thinking na mga tao. Ang sakit makita siya on screen kasi alam mong may mga kilala kang taong ganun mag-isip. And these characters are so real. And even more so dahil very well acted by Ruby Ruiz and Neil Tolentino.
Yun na nga I mean, this film is the perfect confluence of great writing and great acting. Talaga.
Yeah.
Kasi, I mean, we are fortunate to watch these great actors parang say these lines. Kasi, I mean, not to rag on someone else. Of course, we're not gonna name names. And I don't have anybody else in mind naman talaga when I say this. Pero, these actors, they make the material their own. These actors, again, Neil Tolentino, Ruby Ruiz, Mylene Dizon, and the rest of the cast, actually, everybody. And it's...
Grabe talaga.
Grabe yung... And also, there's also this element of talagang going about it na it doesn't judge the characters on all sides dito. Talagang tama ka dun sa sinabi mo kanina The use of the point of view cinematography dito lends to an almost voyeuristic parang experience. So talagang you're an outside observer, literally seeing if what this powerful person did will merit consequence or not.
Pero grabe kasi, alam mo yung this is tale as old as time. Panahon pa ni Rizal to eh.
True.
Ito yung sobrang heartbreaking. And alam mo na kung gaano din ka-powerful yung sound dito. It elicits yung feeling nung, remember, another movie during our Oscar run that utilized sound to add intensity to the story without even showing anything at all, Zone of Interest.
Ah, yes. Oh my God. Oo nga.
So parang this is the perfect marriage of Anatomy of a Fall and Zone of Interest.
Sweet Jesus. Kaya pala sa ganun yung pakiramdam niya. Naghalo yung dalawang pinakamabigat nung last year. Diyos ko, Maria Josep.
Oo.
God.
So it still follows the theme of Cinemalaya 2024 of pain.
Pero one of the most powerful, heartbreakingly beautiful films of this year is The Hearing talaga.
And by the way, I think the pinaka-lighthearted element about this movie is the title. That wordplay.
Yun din.
Yun lang yung parang, yun na yung levity na makukuha mo. The only one.
Yeah.
Positive thing na pwede mong ma-derive dito sa movie na to was the title.
Yeah, I guess.
It's the pun.
I guess.
It's, the hearing about somebody who doesn't have
hearing. Grabe ka naman.
Pero, I mean, do not tell me na they're not aware when they chose that title.
I guess, Sir Lawrence Fajardo, if you're able to listen to this, please settle this discussion for us. Is the title a pun or not? And
apologies if you keep hearing our noisy cat.
Yun, nakikinig din siya. Meron din siyang rating dito sa The Hearing eh. Nadinig niya kanina. Anyway, kami naman, yung rating naman namin dito, and without anything else to add, we're gonna be giving this a solid A.
Yes. A very hearty
yes,
A.
Sobrang, again, here at the Cine Geeks, we have a term that we call a marriage story movie. Sobrang ganda, masterpiece. Never gonna watch it again. Yan.
Yeah. Pero grabe. Ang sakit panoorin nito.
True. My God, paano pa kaya yung dalawang huli natin? Tuloy-tuloy na yung Cinemalaya Pain. Pain Festival.
May pangatlo na tayong name.
Cinemalaya XX, Cinemalaya 20.
Kamusta na kaya yung ibang nagsisinimalaya run din like us?
Oh my God. Okay pa ba kayo dyan?
Yeah.
Kaway naman. Let us know how you are.
I think we need the support group.
Oo. Yeah, let us know how you are, what film you've seen so far, which one stood out for you. Just let us know dun sa comments namin dun sa Spotify episode page, also on our socials. And by the way, again, our email inbox is open for your thoughts, your questions, your violent reactions. We'll read it on air. Just send it to us, cinegeekspod@gmail.com. Okay? Alright, so that has been it for this episode. Again, episode 4 of 5 for the Cinemalaya Film Festival 2024 special series. For my lovely co-host Angela, this has been Roy, and thank you very much for listening to the Cine Geeks podcast, where movies, TV, and all things geek collide.